Good morning and welcome to Functional Skills English entry-level class here at Peterborough College. My name is Gabby and I'm going to be talking you through this week's work and what we're going to be focusing on in this session. So as a start, you will see on your Google Classroom, if you go to the top of the Google Classroom, you will see a starter activity there. It is just a quick word wall activity on word classes, and we are going to talk a little bit more about word classes further on in the session. So if you want to stop the video now, if you complete that activity and then come back to the video and join us, that would be awesome. For those of you that are just watching the video through in one go or are just returning from completing the starter activity, I'm going to now talk us through a bit more about what's going on in this session. So first of all, we're going to try and get to know each other a little bit. I know that's very difficult when we're not seeing each other face to face. You can always drop into an online tutorial session where we will be running through work, we'll answer any questions, and these will be taking place on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays across the week at different times. If you have a look on the class feed on the stream, you'll see more information about how to join us on Google Meet for that if you want to, and then you'll get to see our faces and hopefully we'll get to see yours as well. But otherwise, we've got a little activity just to try and get to know each other a little bit more this week as well. That kind of helps us to sort of get to know you, to know what you need from us as your tutor, and again, to help you build your English skills here. Again, perhaps a lot of you are a bit unsure. You may not have come across Functional Skills English before, especially if you're new to college. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what Functional Skills is and how the course is going to run. Another thing that we need to try and get done today is a bit of a reading assessment. So those of you who are joining us now for the second week of English, a reading assessment will give us a good understanding of where you're starting at with your reading skills. So we'll know what you've already covered and what you need to work on so that we're not repeating stuff if we can help it. And again, it will tell us sort of how close you are to your exam and how ready you are and how soon we can put you in for that. Another thing that we're going to do today, we've just got a couple of SPAG skills that we're going to just touch on briefly. And when I say SPAG, I mean spelling, punctuation and grammar. You may have heard that abbreviation before, but it's nothing to worry about. It is something that is relevant to your writing skills, but it's just a couple of activities just to sort of get your brains working again, get you back into that English mode and ready to do something a bit more full on in the future. So, introductions. My name is Gabby, and what I'm going to get you to do in a moment, I'm going to get you to do something called an acrostic, and it will give me a little bit of an insight into you and how you see yourselves. What I'm going to get you to do is for each letter of your name, I want you to come up with a word that describes you. So here is my example. So for G, I use the word grand because I often say the word grand. A friend of mine always used that word when he was sort of saying, oh yeah, that's brilliant, that's great. He always goes, that's grand. And I kind of took that word on and I started using it a lot myself. So G for grand. A, authentic. I like to think that I'm pretty much who I say I am. You get what you get, and this is me. So I like to think of myself as authentic. Got two B's in there, and I couldn't get away with not saying bizarre. I am a bit weird and wonderful. For those of you that get to meet me or have met me before, you'll already know this. I am a bit quirky, and I do talk a lot with my hands, so it does look a bit bizarre and a bit funny. Another B, brightly coloured hair. I've always got brightly coloured hair. At the moment it is bright pink, but don't be surprised if you see me next week and it's bright blue or purple or green. Who knows? It changes all the time. Last but not least, a Y. I had a bit of trouble coming up with something for Y, and I thought, well, I do like to sing. And I do sometimes sing in my classes, but it doesn't sound like singing. It does sound a little bit more like yodeling. or maybe a cat singing, who knows. So I thought, because it's a bit weird and wonderful, I could be a yodeling champion. So a little bit silly there for you. But what I thought was perhaps that we could do that together, guys. We could do a similar one. So if you would like to pause your videos now for me and go back to your Google Classroom down to the classwork area and complete the Who Are You activity. And in that activity, I would like you to use the letters of your name and come up with some words to describe yourselves, please. So for those of you that are coming back after doing that activity or are just watching the video through, let's move on. So functional skills English, what is it? What are we talking about here? Well, it is a very useful qualification that we tend to see quite often at college. We don't always see it at schools, though some schools have done functional skills in the last couple of years. It is something that actually, when you go out into the wider world of work after you leave college, it is evidence of what you can and can't do in English. It shows employers what you can and can't do. And because we've got lots of different levels of functional skills English, you can progress higher and higher and show evidence of your achievement as you go along. It is also something that is very much to do with everyday kind of life. It's not just about the workplace. So the kinds of things that we cover and look at are going to be relevant to the skills you need in your everyday life to function. So it links back to that word functional. So it's not about necessarily about poetry and plays and things like this that you've perhaps come across before in different qualifications of English that you've studied. It's all about what you need to deal with the wider world. Again, it is a starting point. You can always go further, okay? It is something that is going to be very useful for you to get into different areas of employment. But also, if you want to move to higher levels of education, such as, moving on to higher levels of BTECs or MVQs, or, if you want to even go onto university, functional skills can be something that can help you get there. Again, it can link to things like subject knowledge. Within functional skills English, we talk about lots of different topics, lots of different subjects and areas. It isn't just linked to English subjects. We talk about lots of different issues in the wider world, and it can show what you know about those topics and that you can apply them to different areas and contexts. So a lot of you probably thinking, what is the point? I've spent however many years at school. A lot of people hated English. They struggled with it. They never enjoyed it. I've heard a lot of, I hate my teacher, or hated my teacher, I didn't get on with them. We are going to see a lot of issues coming through about not having been able to take exams and so on. And we as English teachers at college, we get that. We know you guys don't like functional skills English necessarily. We know you didn't come to college to do that subject, and we know that you'd rather be elsewhere. But actually, step away from that mindset for a moment, because there is a reason. There is an underlying point to all of this. This time that we've got to spend together, because the government have decided that you've got to carry on studying your maths or your English, okay? See it as a stepping stone. It is time that is going to help you to gain a qualification, and that qualification is going to help you find work or move on to further courses and study, and again, build up those life skills, okay? It can improve your chances of getting a job tenfold. It can improve your chances if you think about how many people are applying for jobs these days, and again, how rare jobs actually are. If you're one of those people that's actually got a relevant English qualification, an employer is more likely to pick you than someone that doesn't. Again, it's a nice little bit of evidence that shows those employers or potential employers that you can read and you can write and you can speak and you can listen and you can communicate in English. And these are all skills that they want. Okay. Yes, you might need other skills for a certain job, but actually these are transferable across lots and lots of different jobs. So you might think, I might not need to read and write in my job. But actually, when you drill down into different jobs and different sort of roles, it's there. You do need those skills and employers want them. As we said, it can enable progression to further education. So if you want to build up through the levels of your course, whatever your course may be, this is also going to be your ticket to get there. So functional skills actually isn't just one qualification like a GCSE where you get lots of different potential grades. This time it's either pass or it's a fail. And it is split over different levels. So we have a very sort of introductory beginning point at what we call entry level 1. And you can build up through those entry levels. And then it gets a bit weird and it goes back to a level 1. But this level 1 is higher than an entry level. And then level 2, which is on par, it's an equivalent level to GCSE level qualifications. Okay, so these 5 levels, we can move and build up and progress through these levels of English study in your time here at college and get you qualifications that really mean something. Our Google Classroom is going to be focusing on the skills that you need for the entry level qualifications. So if you think perhaps you might not be on quite the right level, you need to flag this up with us as soon as possible. We are going to focus on entry level 1, entry level 2, and entry level 3. So all of those levels of functional skills have something in common. There are 3 assessments that you must complete. So 3 areas of skills, if you like, that we've got to focus on. Some of that is reading, some of that is writing, and some of that is speaking and listening. So there are different things that you've got to be able to show that you can do within the assessments. And when I say assessments, sort of like exams, but you don't need to feel the pressure. So at entry level, everyone will need to take a writing assessment where we will read through different texts and answer questions, and they are 45 minutes long. Everyone will need to sit a writing assessment, which is 50 minutes long, and again, this will test your knowledge on key areas of writing, including writing different types of texts for different people. Where you see the percentages there for SPAG, it shows that a good amount of your marks link to your spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So we do need to focus on those key skills across our time together. You'll also see SLC there. That means speaking, listening, and communication. And this varies depending on what level you are working on. And there are different activities that we will do, but this will be on familiar topics that you've come across before. Things like having one-to-one discussions with your tutor or small group discussions with people from your class. You might talk about a topic that you've chosen. You might have to ask questions to someone about a particular topic. Different skills depending on the different levels, and we'll go into that in more detail a little bit further down the line. So key sort of skills that you need to demonstrate for speaking and listening would be that you can, tell us, straightforward information and give us your opinion on something, that you can make, your own contribution, that you can join in a discussion in a relevant and appropriate way. Again, that perhaps if other people ask you a question, you can respond to what they've got to say with something relevant. Again, it doesn't hurt for you to be able to ask questions to others. In the reading assessment, the sort of some of the key skills that we're going to be looking at and that we're going to be focusing on, we need to be able to pick out what those main points or ideas are within a piece of writing. We want to be able to recognise why a text was written, so the purpose of that text. And again, use a range of different sort of reading strategies or techniques to be able to pick out the information to answer different kinds of questions. Last but not least, we are going to be able to use our skills in writing to write in clear sentences. We're going to build up those skills in spelling, punctuation and grammar. And we're going to use things like layout features and paragraphs to structure different kinds of writing. You might write an email, you might write a note, you might write a report. Lots of different kinds of text that we might have to write, and for different people. So that will mean sometimes that we have to adapt what we say and how we say it. All skills that we're going to be covering and practicing together. So you guys have listened to me talk for quite a while now. It might be time to take a bit of a break. If you'd like to pause the video and go to the Google Classroom, you will see reading assessment task there. I'd like you to complete the reading assessment for me, please, and take your time, read through things carefully, don't rush through those questions, so that we really get to grips with where you're at and what you do and don't know, so we know what to work on. So if people are returning from doing the reading assessment or are carrying on through, the next little task I'd like you to look at, we did mention something called word classes at the start. I would like you, if you're not sure and you're struggling with a bit with what we mean by word classes, there is a short video on word classes on the Google Classroom to remind you. Have a little look at that for me. And then could you have a go at the word classes activity, please? Once you've done that, again, there is a short activity on homophones on the Google Classroom. If you're not quite sure what we mean by the word homophones, have a little look at the video on homophones to remind you and to show you some key homophones that you need to know. And then, once you've had a go at these, please complete the tasks on homophones on the Google Classroom. If you want to carry on building your skills and you want to get through your exams quicker, there will be extension tasks and further work on the Google Classroom each week. Now, this week we have something called job roles. If you go to the Google Classroom, have a read through the text that is on there, and then there is a short quiz that asks you some multiple choice or short answer questions about what you have read. And there is a short writing task to complete. By completing these two tasks, you are going to be building up both your reading and your writing skills. And this is very, very important because I know a lot of you want to get through your qualification more quickly. If we get through the qualification more quickly and build up those skills, we can bring your exams forward. We can do your exams before Christmas and try and get English, off of your timetable a little bit quicker. So it is very, very key and important for you to be doing the extra extension tasks each week and building up those skills so that you can get done and dusted as quick as possible. Once you have completed today's work, I would like you to complete the exit ticket. This is the last activity on the Google Classroom, and this will just give me your thoughts on today's session, and it will show me any sort of ideas that you have of what you want to work on over the next few weeks so that I can make sure that we focus on that topic for you. Thank you very much for listening today. As I said earlier, if you are stuck and this is not making sense, drop into one of our e-learning sessions. We are going to be running some online tutorial sessions across the week on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays via Google Meet, and the code for your Google Meet is on the class stream. But make sure that you click on the link, don't copy and paste it because it won't take you directly to the Meet.